From Alaska to Lake Huron, not isolated to just the US, even Yukon, Canada, have all had recent UFO sightings. Is the government just hiding something? Or could it be that it's just a balloon without the made in China tag? From false to much more compelling, what is it about? Welcome back. It's Un, and let's talk about if it's solid or if it's just up in the air. Okay, so you guys have probably seen some of the more recent like UFO sightings just because they've been in the news so much so often. Um like specifically like the balloons, that's what a couple of them have turned out to be. Um
Or so they say.
or so they say. Yeah, yeah. Well, my issue is one, were they all like from China, because I heard the one, I believe it was up in Canada, up in Yukon, and it was like it wasn't even a government weather balloon, like not Canada's, US's, China's. It was just some hobbyist balloon that was like $12 or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then well, yeah, because they shot it down with like a $400,000 missile or something. But
I'd say that's a loss. I'd say that's a loss.
that's why we got that big budget. It's for those balloons. We're just trying to bring, balloon tower defense to life.
Yeah. I could see that. Oh, jeez. Well, I don't know about. Go ahead.
We activated cheat codes and we used to get the missile tower early then.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but some of the other ones a little bit harder to kind of just shake out of your mind, well, it's probably a balloon.
Well,
some of them have been cited as like different shapes, different sizes, and whereas the balloons were just traveling up, I mean, they're not doing any real kind of speed you could imagine. But some of the other objects they found were moving like insanely fast for something that could be, a balloon or some kind of like less dense object that's able to float in the atmosphere somehow, because it doesn't look like a lot of them have like any thrust, like you can't see it. And that's just the ones like the government is, declassified.
Yeah.
Like some of the videos and stuff they have, like one, I'm not sure when it got declassified, but there was an interesting one because its shape is a tic tac, or the
Oh, really?
pill or whatever, yeah, because it looks like a tic tac candy. And I believe, like I said, I don't think this got declassified in '04, but I think it was, they actually saw it itself in '04. This tic tac.
This tic tac.
Yeah, this tic tac. Yeah, boy.
I mean, yeah, they come in all different shapes and sizes, and you gotta kind of think like, come on, it's all government, government quote unquote weather balloons. Is this all, just some sort of like top secret government experience or experiment, or is this
right?
Is this actual stuff, like actual alien?
See,
What do you?
so
What do you?
I'd say like one of the arguments we could have about that. So if you look back and like, earlier, like in the '80s and stuff, more people had abductions and sightings and, but no actual proof. And nowadays, we're starting to see more and more, especially from the military standpoint, where they're seeing these objects. A lot of them are being seen around like aircraft carriers as well. So, like this Tic Tac ship, I guess, or object, UFO, um, they were, let's see, it was a U.S. Navy sighting by a Lieutenant Commander Alex Dyrich.
Mm.
Yeah, so she saw on the radar because a warship, like another warship or something, thought they had saw something on their radar. So she had this David Fravor. I think that's how you say his name. I don't know. But had him fly out and actually inspect it. And yeah, so they saw on the warship's radar, and then when they actually flew out, they saw on, like, I don't know if it's radar is different from like the targeting system of the aircraft, but they also saw it on that as well. And I think this yeah. So they saw it in the radar itself. They couldn't actually see it like through the glass of the aircraft. I'm not sure what they were flying. Probably F-16.
Okay. So they had like target lock, and they had radar confirmation, but they didn't actually have visual confirmation.
No.
Wow. So this thing is just like invisible. That's interesting.
Or I don't know if they, like, when they were trying to get visual of it, they couldn't actually like get to it before it would like move, because it was moving as well.
Yeah.
And that's from 2004. There's also another one on. I can't remember the details of this one as well, but this UFO was being identified by like the way it was moving throughout the air. So it was actually moving like just as fast as the aircraft, if not faster.
Oh, dang.
Like it was just going incredibly fast, but then it was making like really weird turns and maneuvers in the air. And that's what kind of drew their attention to it, because they couldn't identify like how was it able to do that without breaking apart. Because like when you're flying at top speed in a fighter jet and you just make like a drastic movement, and this is before the 6th generation fighter that's being built and everything now, to where it has a little bit like it's better for mobility, because apparently like the thrusters in the new jets can they can actually angle themselves much better. And that was that one was in like 2015, I think.
No, really.
You know,
I'm trying to remember about some old. I remember I used to read about a bunch of like the old 80s ones. Like, I think there have been some where like they send the guys in and investigate, and then they just disappear.
Well, yeah. I mean, you hear a lot of those things. Like, look at the Bermuda Triangle with a bunch of ships and weird weather anomalies. You know, you got aircraft going missing. You got ships going missing, or ships found with no crew on them. Like, you know, there's a lot of unexplained stuff. And I think that if we had, I just can't see us having an explanation for all of it. You know, I feel like a lot of this is real. You know, a lot of the UFO sightings we see are real, and a lot of them are fake. You know, a lot of them.
Oh yeah.
There's definitely some that are super compelling. Like you're you like even if you don't believe, I feel like you have to kind of sit there and think about it on a lot of them. Like you're like,
Yeah.
how, like how is that ship able to move that fast? Like there is another one. I think this one was called the Pill, actually. This is this one I haven't read too much about, but I've actually seen some other people talk on it, especially where a lot of these people coming out talking about these crafts are fighter pilots now, and people that were in the Navy and on these aircraft carriers. That's another thing that's pretty wild about it. But this one in particular was they were trying to track it on the radar, and they were having people fly out. They were having some pilots fly out to track it because they're like, wow, why is this thing at 60,000 feet?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it just like jumps down like below the water.
Huh.
Like it was jumping all over the radar, and they had visual and everything too. Like that's what's strange is
Yeah.
because they're getting more and more like angles and like yeah they're cross checking multiple parameters, you know what I mean, and that's what makes it like that's what takes just a normal sighting, at least for me, like it pushes it more to the like it's kind of
Yeah.
convincing me, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They're getting it on radar, they're getting visual. Like there have been pilots just flying and they actually saw it. Like they saw weird things they couldn't explain going past them, and I don't know. It's just super strange.
Well, I
Right.
mean, one of the things is that the military definitely has, aircraft or experimental stuff that is decades ahead of what will ever, be seen or will rarely be spotted, I think. And I think that, we see glimpses of these things, and an argument could be made that, sure, some of them are like different experiments and stuff, but, just changing, like you were saying, just changing altitude so fast, just doing all these sorts of like maneuvers, 90-degree maneuvers and stuff.
Yeah,
That
and not seeing like an exhaust signature
yeah,
behind it, you know?
like that's not something I'd imagine we have the technology to do. I mean, we have super smart scientists in the world and everything, but I
Well,
don't think
50 years ago, nobody thought you'd be able to watch TV in the palm of your hand, you know, or
that's
communicate the way we
that's
do.
and
Right.
some of these things, like some of these crashes and stuff that have been reported as UFO sightings or have caused a lot of like paranoia or hoopla or whatever. Um, some of them just end up being government experiments. So and the government will add speculation to it just to cover their asses.
Now,
Like
you actually
so,
kind of got me thinking, like, so even if this is like a different nation's government doing this, and this is their high tech or whatever, could be, but it could also be the U.S. government creating this super advanced tech, and they're testing it on what they currently have in active use, you know, the aircraft carriers, because they want to see, you know, how well it's being picked up and stuff without actually telling everybody in the loop, you know, so it seems more like a real thing.
well, and so we have like the biggest military in the world, and we have the biggest navy by far in the world. So to test something against the navy, you know, you're putting it up against basically the best in the world. You're watching it how the best pilots well, you know, the best trained pilots in the world, the best trained Navy personnel in the world. Arguably, if you're from a different country and you think your Navy is better, then okay, whatever.
Red, white, and true, baby.
I mean, it's not that it's not that I agree with the military or whatever, but it's kind of a simple fact that we have more invested in. Anyways, so you're testing it against the best. You're seeing how the best responds to it, or the best that you know of responds to seeing something like that. So it very well could be. I mean, look at Roswell. Roswell. There was this big old crash site that people wanted to go see, and the military was hush hush about it, but they deliberately spread speculation about it because
that was the weather balloon, didn't it? That's what they blamed it on, or said it
yeah,
was, right?
they blamed it on a weather balloon. So, and it really wasn't a weather balloon. And that artificially created speculation by, other people, by civilians, and
See, we've had balloons falling out of the sky since the 50s.
exactly.
It's nothing new. Nothing new.
It's their favorite excuse too, is weather balloon. But whatever. Anyways, it turns out, 50 years later, this was declassified as what was it called? It was like an atomic espionage operation. It's where the government was hooking, high definition microphones to balloons and floating them up into the higher layers of the atmosphere. And the microphones would pick up sound waves from Soviet nuclear tests. So they would listen to nuclear or atomic bombs going off all the way over in the Soviet Union, which is actually pretty interesting. And it actually turned out to be successful until they figured out they could use seismographs just to read. Yeah.
Why is
Just
there a
to
bunch
read.
of little earthquakes coming from over here? That's weird. They're like, oh, it correlates with the sound signature we picked up. Hey guys, just shoot those all down. We'll just blame it on a weather balloon.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's crazy. I actually didn't know about it turning out to be an atomic crazy microphone thing.
Yeah.
At first, I thought you were saying like they were trying to listen to like Russians. I was like, dude, that would have to be the best microphone in the world. You'd be picking up so much background noise.
Yeah. Yeah.
You probably would pick up aliens that way.
It's called Project Mogul, is what it was. And they said that the government admitted that, 50 years along the line, they were like, yeah, it was a part of this atomic, we were trying to listen in on Soviet testing. So we strapped a bunch of microphones to a balloon and boom, 5 bazillion dollars later, successful.
I feel like when they declassify stuff, you know how they still redact a bunch of text and stuff out of the documents a lot of the time?
Yeah.
They're just like all nonchalant about it too. It's like, oh, yeah. So this is some stuff we haven't been telling you.
Exactly.
It's like finding out your grandma won the lottery. You know what I mean? She won like 10 years ago. And she's been sending you like socks for Christmas still, and you're like, hey, really? Can I at least get a pair of shoes, please? Can I get some J's?
And the government will do that. It'll be like, oh yeah, by the way, we did this. So yeah. Sorry we didn't tell you earlier. We didn't want you to know.
We were protecting you.
But that being said, I do think that there are aliens out there. I do think that there is, life beyond our little planet. And I do think that a lot,
I think
a
it
lot.
would be arrogant to think that we're the only life, for sure. That's what I would say. Like this whole universe is so big, I just don't see us being the only life, you know what I mean?
I would agree. I
Like,
mean,
and
you know,
have you seen or heard of Bob Lazar?
no, I haven't.
So he basically claimed that he used to work at Area 51 and he worked on a captured alien craft.
Oh yeah, now that you mention it, I have seen him on a couple documentaries.
Yeah, and I don't know. He does try to make it sound compelling and all. It's definitely crazy. Like, what would you like? We're talking about tech like 1,000 years ahead of us, if you know what I mean. To
Yeah,
travel those far distance, like I think one of the closest is like 4 light years or something, 5 light years.
yeah,
That's light moving from that star to here. Takes that long.
exactly.
So
You have
they'd be so advanced.
to travel that far. You would have to be traveling so fast that, in terms of today's physics, it just wouldn't be possible. Your body, or any craft that we can make on Earth that we know of could not take that trip. And it couldn't take the start of it going that fast. And even if it survived going that fast, you'd have to slow down. So if you came to a halt, like in Star Wars or whatever, where they just plop out of light speed, your body would be against the windshield. Like,
You'd be out the windshield.
you know, so like if there is life on Earth, I mean, if there is life outside of Earth, they're way more advanced than what we are. We're a bunch of Neanderthals still to them. So
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so let's say if there's life out there that has traveled to Earth, they're definitely farther along. Because I think a lot of life you would probably find it in or as like bacteria, like just
yeah,
little cells and stuff. Like I think that's what you'd find a lot of life being as is microbes or like small mammals. But to think about like such an advanced race, like I don't know, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, he was saying some stuff how like what would the aliens want to do with us, and he's basically saying I don't see why they'd want to, but the way I look at it, like look at all the animals we study.
mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
why wouldn't they? You know what I mean? Why? Sure. Let's just what's going on this planet? That's weird. They're having some activity down here. Oh, there's a whole civilization of people. Oh, and then they have these nuclear bombs and they have satellites and they're probably like, oh, they have TikTok, and then a lot of them started leaving.
We're like, well, I'm out of here.
Yeah, they saw the cinnamon challenge. They're like, oh,
Oh,
they are not getting into the intergalactic council.
Like
That's
that
for
one
sure.
South Park episode.
they're not even going to make it into the 3000s.
Oh boy.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot to think about something like this, is to ask questions and to understand that there is no understanding until one of those fuckers steps out of the spacecraft and says, hello, I'm Greg from fucking Neptuno 99, whatever. So I mean, we won't ever have answers until it's shown to us, until it's presented to us.
Yeah,
And
then
to
he
be
gets
honest,
all shot to death.
that's exactly the reason why it doesn't happen, is because we react
We're
so
gonna kill it.
we react so hostile to new things. They're like, yeah, these fuckers haven't even matured yet. So
Well, what's crazy is there's several countries, Japan included. Was it Switzerland maybe? In the United States, or just a few of the countries that have like actual programs set up to, I think it's called like first contact protocol or something. So
Oh yeah.
if there is a craft and they know for sure it's a craft and they received a signal from it once and we're sitting there trying to communicate with it, because we don't want it to be hostile.
mhm.
Is
that
is like the communication barrier. So the way,
exactly.
yeah. So their language would obviously be completely different. But what we're thinking about, math is the universal language.
Yeah. God,
They,
that would suck. That would
they would
suck.
probably find a way to communicate with us before we found a way to communicate with them.
Exactly. Exactly.
But like imagine how advanced their math would be.
It wouldn't be more.
No.
Like it would, like the equations and everything that would go into the way their ships work and everything, it would just be completely mind-boggling. That's why,
no.
like
That
with
makes
that kind of technology, that's what
Why are
it's.
why the fuck are you?
It's like comparing humans to chimps.
Yep.
Like the smartest chimps are about as smart as like a 1 or 2 year old human.
Yeah.
That's about how intelligent they usually get. So it'd be like, an Albert Einstein would be like not even a fully developed quote alien
Exactly.
if they had that kind of technology and knowledge to pass along down. Even if they don't have kids, I don't know, dude. It's a whole different world thinking about reproduction and aliens, or if it's all just like a robot AI type deal,
Yeah.
Because we're on our way with AI right now.
I mean, it's limited within confines of our known existence. So even the smartest AI could be, kindergarten to an advanced species of alien. Because AI only knows how much everybody else knows. AI only can go as far as we can. It can correct things for us. It can maybe go a step above, but it's
once it does like the self-learning and stuff
mhm.
with
Yeah.
math, who knows?
Well, yeah, who knows? Who knows what things it could learn, what things it could do.
Yeah, the
But
aliens are looking at our like smartest AI and they're like, "Oh, look how cute its code is." Like,
it's like one of those '90s calculators that if you stick the finger over the solar panels, it just disappears.
yeah. The aliens are sitting there. I bet we can make the AI spell boobs. So
yeah, man.
it lights up New York City, and then the skylights just spell boobs.
Yep.
They struck again.
That's what the lights are. They're trying to spell boobs. Can you imagine that actually happening? I just imagine like this, like the whole like all these people are out there like staring at it. This one guy goes, "Nice."
Oh.
It's definitely an interesting concept. But think about this, like think about all the different gods and stuff. All the different paintings of higher beings like coming down. I hate to get into like ancient aliens type spectacle stuff. You know,
Well,
I
well,
I
yeah, maybe ancient civilizations saw, these craft or whatever, and wrote them down in history as gods, or you know, like
well,
that's
yeah,
a huge speculation with the pyramids. It's like, how exactly did they build those?
yeah.
And a lot of people are like aliens.
I don't so like I don't exactly. I'm very you know I'm very skeptical of that. I'm very what's the word? I don't know about that, but like I can
No, the
understand.
Egyptians did it. Good old slave labor
Yeah, that's what I think.
with
I think
some
that
kind of advanced human technology, I think.
maybe a god came down and told them, "Hey, build these fucking triangles, or else I'm going to run their entire village or
Okay,
whatever."
no, this is I actually got a story on this. This was this is a while ago. This is you know how like down next to like our Smiths, we got that one small little kind of church thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So me and the plumber I work for, we were actually working on the. They were remodeling it, and we were working on the plumbing and stuff. And a guy that was there doing, I can't remember. I think he was just doing like the walls and stuff, like kind of helping with like the drywall and crap. We somehow got to the conversation of religion. That guy actually talked to us, and he's a very firm believer that Christ was an alien.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Wait,
mean,
what
Yeah,
religion? I want to know what this religion is first.
I don't know if it was a religion, but he just said like my plumber boss is kind of religious. So he somehow brought up God about or Christ about it on something, and he goes, "Well, you know what? I think I think he was an alien."
Scientology. Just kidding. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a spaceship behind the moon. Drink the punch.
It's
Why
like
do you
that
think
regular.
Jesus made water into wine? Drink it. No. Yeah.
It's what if it's like that episode of Regular Show where like the moon opens up and this tall dude with the basketball for a head just comes out, and that's what the aliens are.
I'd be like,
Kobe.
Kobe.
That's a travel.
Yo, Kobe came back, guys. Okay, that was jacked up.
Kobe
But no,
didn't.
seriously.
Kobe didn't die. Just went home.
Oh no.
Oh,
Say hi to Tupac for me. No.
I wonder if we get LeBron James a helicopter, same thing will happen. Will he go home or will he just die?
Damn, dude. Damn.
Oh.
Oh, that was out of nowhere. But anyways,
Yeah. So, I mean, just based off of kind of what we've been saying, we didn't get too critical with a lot of the intricacies of it. For one, I've never seen one of these firsthand, so
I don't think I've seen one either. I've seen satellite, but
I don't know. I've had more like I've had a few like paranormal things, but I've never had anything like alien happen.
I've seen something unexplained, but I can't say that I've ever seen a UFO. But I've seen some weird shit that I can't explain.
Oh, yeah, same here. Maybe it's just that I can't explain it, but maybe somebody else can. But I know I've seen, and I don't know. There's just, I feel like everybody's got at least one kind of story. They call it ghosts, spirits, or whatever. Or just, I don't know. I don't know what it was, but it's just a noise. Maybe something fell, or I don't know. They can't explain it exactly. Like, I don't know, dude. The door just kind of opened by itself, and The
This
wind
shit's
wasn't
got
even blowing. It was underground. Uh,
this
uh,
shit's got paranoid now. Not gonna be able
somebody,
to sleep.
somebody said my name. I'm the only one down here. Somebody restarted my microwave and burnt my hot pocket. I live alone. Like, no, you just have somebody living in your walls.
Yeah.
Sir, it's
Yeah.
called it's called smoking too much weed. Oh.
And
Ah.
that's another thing is like psychedelics. Maybe there was something in the water, in the Egyptians' water that were like, oh shit, there's
Yeah,
fucking
they woke up out of the out of the hallucination and the pyramids were just done. Nobody remembers. They're just like, yeah, that's weird. I saw some like a saucer come down that had the god Ra on there, and he ate a goat whole, and then he rented a U-Haul. Yeah, it got real weird.
yeah, they were like, or they all just got real high and they're like, wouldn't it be sick if we just built a fucking pyramid right now? Oh shit!
Like in Let's Be Cops when he wants to build a porch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Humans explain things when they are under the influence. Let that be a lesson, everyone listening.
Well, we kind of always want to believe in something more, I feel too.
I mean, it's almost comforting in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Kinda.
understanding like just understanding that, you're not quite alone floating on a rock in the middle of space.
Yeah.
Like we're not.
You get lost at the grocery store and then you see like your mom or dad come back and you're like, "Oh, I'm not lost anymore. I'm not alone."
Yeah.
In this
Hey,
empty.
wait. So, okay. Here's something. And I don't know if it would be able to be done. This is just a theory. And if you guys are way smarter than me about it, like, let me know because I don't know. But wouldn't your body age slower? Or, maybe not even at all, probably slower. But wouldn't your body age slower if you were in space? Like you're traveling through space, there's no gravity pulling on you unless, of course, you have gravity.
Yes, because
Would you?
so space and time are they're like woven together basically. And what gravity does is it manipulates space-time by it's kind of like having a ball on a sheet.
Right,
You
right.
stretch out the sheet and so it's pulling it down. It's not going to be anything really significant. The only reason we were able to prove this is they actually used a high altitude plane, and they had a stopwatch, or they had two synchronized watches on the ground, and then one guy got on the plane and the other stayed on the ground. And there was actually a difference in the time because of the plane was actually further away from the center of gravity, and it was also traveling because speed also dictates as well.
Right.
That's so the same thing. Like if you're moving, it's not really going to be significant until you get closer to the speed of light. And the same thing with like black holes, because their gravity is way more immense than Earth's is. It's probably not going to be similar to Interstellar. Like that was, I can't remember what the time dilation or whatever was happening on that planet. It was like an hour there was like 7 years on Earth or something. That's pretty extreme. I don't think you're going to see that unless you're like real up close to the black hole, because it's a weird concept once you think about like you're having a friend outside the black hole and then you're like falling into it and then seeing each other. Like like I've heard it explained. It's just that part of it to me is still kind of hard to understand because I don't know. But
It
yeah, time does work different around gravity and also the speed you're traveling.
so I mean,
Oh.
you're like, of course, your hair would grow out. Of course, like your normal bodily functions would happen. But since you don't have the constant pull of gravity on you, or at least a much weaker pull of gravity on you, would your body just stop aging? Like your joints don't have much more resistance, you know, like they're not they don't they're not resisting pulling something up or pushing something.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying now.
Like would you
Um,
physically age, you know?
like so you would still age because like you would age still relative to yourself, like your own perception of time. The only thing that would be different, probably, like sure, I guess I'm not sure how it would affect your consciousness because your brain would be just completely like floating around even
Yeah.
more so than it already does. Maybe not, but all your like it messes with your bodily functions for sure, like blood flow uh, in your joints. Like you can see it now on astronauts that spend months up there and then come back. Like it messes with their muscles. Like they're a lot weaker, and just like you
Hmm.
said, you don't have gravity really pulling you down as much. So they're not like they're in orbit. They're not out in space.
Right.
So basically, it's just that they're flying so fast around the Earth that the gravity's not strong enough to pull them back in.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's why they have like the floating. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure how it would affect them. Like also, like especially with the aliens traveling so far, do you think they would have like a gravity chamber to like work against that, or have they evolved to a point where it doesn't really affect them, or maybe they have like a cryogenic freezer thing? You know how people when they die now they're like, oh, just freeze my body and it'll be fine. They'll revive me in the future. Maybe they have something like that on there
Yeah.
that also like isolates a sense of gravity around it so you can grow properly and not age, and then you just wake up when you get to your destination.
Yeah. So like everything in your body freezes the way it is, and then when you wake up, you know you're your normal self. Because
Yeah,
I can
you just got
I
to
can
pee a
kind of
little
get
bit.
yeah I kind of get Wall, like, you know how on Wall-E, like humans grow into these fucking blobs or whatever. I can kind of get that, but like so with no resistance, would it honestly be like that? Because you would grow weaker, but I mean, I guess it would be because you know your
I,
body
I,
doesn't
I feel
use
like
any
I
much.
watched a movie about this. So they weren't. So it's different being born on Earth and then like going into a spaceship because your body's accustomed to it. But in this movie, I can't remember the name of the title, but there's colonies on Mars, and he was the first kid born on Mars, and he wants to come back to Earth because like he wants to see what it's all about, and then I believe he gets like a love interest or something, but
I
they
heard,
start finding out that like the difference in gravity is like killing him being on Earth because he's not used to it at all, and his body grew in grew adjusted to being raised on Mars.
yeah,
So, I mean, I guess you like a child being born on a spacecraft that would take that to whole new levels. Like, I feel like they would actually have to simulate gravity, or they're not going to be able to go to planets. You know what I mean? It just won't work.
Well, you would have like humans would have to adapt. Like it would have to be a moderate enough change in gravity, like either more gravity or less gravity, and you would have to have children so that your children are adapted and grow to that world specifications or whatever. So it would take a minute for humanity to adapt, like their bodies to adapt.
Oh,
So,
yeah, for sure.
but like, I don't know how it would work in space. Like I feel like you would have to have artificial gravity in order to like survive, or in order to keep your bodily function, at least limited gravity or something.
Yeah. Well, so let's say it was an alien or something, and they had a ship. It's coming to Earth. It's either so it's got to accommodate for biological beings like that, unless they're robotic in nature or it itself is a drone. But that's where it gets even weirder, because if it's a drone, that means it's basically it would have to operate itself, because
Yeah.
from where they launched is at least 4 light years away, 4.5 or something. So they can't communicate with that drone. So it would have to be a drone operating itself, or a spacecraft that can accommodate biological beings, or the beings inside are like mechanical in nature, or mechanical in nature. Sure. It's kind of a weird, but yeah, I don't know. There's some weird stuff up there, regardless of what it is. Who knows? It's
Right.
It's just been spotted up there.
From Chinese weather balloons to black holes, man. It's crazy. Crazy to think about.
The wild thing is like, if we ever do actually meet some aliens, no matter what it looks like, someone somewhere is gonna look, that is the hottest thing. I must seduce it. And it's gonna be like, okay, bro, you played too much Mass Effect. Go home.
There will be a cake made out of it as soon as one touches the ground. There's going to be some weird anime.
That right there, they probably did their research. They saw that and they're like, "Oh, we're not landing. Have you seen what these people post?" Yeah. But with that, we're gonna head up in the air. So peace.